Dr. Chris.
He's Dr. Zand.
And yes, we're identical twins.
Do you know your body does heaps of amazing things every single day?
That is incredible. And we're going to show you how. Ah, you've cut him in half.
We've got incredible experiments.
Whoa. And real-life medical emergencies.
The doctor's going to make it all better.
Ouch!
We'll be turning our bodies inside out.
Oh, yuck! To show you what you're made of. You should see a doctor.
Better go find one.
Dr. Zand.
Coming up today on Operation...
We find out how you taste with your nose.
Next patient, please.
The clinic is open for business to solve your medical mysteries.
And we check out a printer with a difference.
The possibilities with 3D printing are limitless.
But first...
What started off as a normal day for our first patient has ended up with a trip to accident and emergency.
Don't worry, Zan, she's in the right place.
For you.
In Liverpool, 12-year-old Khadija is in accident and emergency with her dad.
I have hurt my hand.
Well, let's see it then. Ooh, how'd you do that?
Khadija was on her way to the bus stop, rushing to get to school. Suddenly, she saw her bus coming down the road.
It's going very fast. She's going to have to race to catch it.
She did. Khadija and the bus were neck and neck. Then the bus went faster.
So Khadija took a sneaky shortcut through the supermarket.
She ran down the aisles, past the breakfast cereal, out the door, and into the car park.
Ooh, good tactic. Look, she's ahead of the bus. She's gonna make it.
But then she tripped. And she cut her hand on some glass.
Ouch.
Before anything else, Khadija is sent for an x-ray of that hand.
Okay, all finished.
Then it's off to see nurse practitioner Jenny Cardis for an examination.
Can you make a fist for me? Lovely. And stretch your hand out for me. Excellent.
I was checking to see if she had a full range of movement to her hands and checking to see if she had normal sensation. She had a little difficulty with moving her thumb.
Your hand has 27 bones in it, as well as ligaments that hold everything together. They're not really blue, by the way.
Then there are the nerves that give us feeling and the tendons that allow the hand to move. Some tendons and nerves are very close to the surface of your skin, and a deep cut like Khadija's can easily damage them.
You can lose feeling or not be able to move your hand at all, which is why a bad cut often needs surgery to fix it.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a little look at your x-ray.
Before any treatment, it's important to check for anything that might still be in the wound.
So can't see any obvious glass, so I'll go and have a little chat with Dad. So I think what we need to do is give it a good clean, put a lovely dressing on it, start with some antibiotics, and I'm going to ask you to come back in the morning. We might need to get plastics to have a little look at her.
Khadija will be back in the morning, so a specialist can have a look at that cut and see if she's done any major damage. We'll catch up with her then.
Ouch. And now to our lab.
Ouch!
For some amazing body experiments.
Ugh.
Just don't try anything you see here at home.
Take a look at this. This is an MRI scan of my tongue as I'm speaking, and you can see it's pretty huge. But speaking isn't the only thing you need your tongue for. One of the best things it does is help you taste. Your tongue is covered in small hair-like projections, as I'm going to show you. Right, Zand, open your mouth nice and wide. Ugh! Not hair like that. I said hair-like projections. Can't see them with your naked eye, so take a look at this.
This is a super close-up of your tongue. This red blob is called a papilla. Your taste buds sit on the side of it, and they contain tiny hair-like projections called microvilli to help you taste.
And if you look at your tongue, the bumps you can see are the papillae.
And the more papillae you have on your tongue, the more taste buds you have, and the more sensitive to taste you are.
And you have more of them than we do.
Because we're doctors.
No, Zon, because we're adults. We have around 5,000 covering our tongues, but you have 10,000. That's twice as many.
And to prove it, Chris, I've brought in a sample. This sample is 9 years old.
This isn't a sample, it's a child.
Anyway, the point is, we're going to compare Chris's papillae with the samples. But first, I need to cover your tongues in blue food dye.
The blue dye will show up all the papillae.
And now, the sample.
I have a name, you know, and it's Hermione.
Very noisy sample. Give me your tongue.
Nice blue tongue, Hermione. Zand is putting a glass slide on both our tongues to make it easier to count the papillae.
Chris's papillae are those little pale dots right there. And these are Hermione's. You can see that there's way more on her tongue, and that means more taste buds. Good job, Hermione.
As we get older, your taste buds deteriorate and they aren't replaced, which is why you will be much more sensitive to strong flavours like garlic than your mum or dad.
There are certain things, though, like a cold, that can play havoc with everybody's sense of taste.
But why would having a bunged up nose affect your taste? Well, we're going to show you. Zand, meet Mr. Big Mouth.
Hello. Ah, you've cut him in half. Why don't you call him Mr. Cut in Half?
Zand. Now, when you eat food, odour molecules are released and swirl around your mouth, but also right up into this. This is the passage that connects your mouth to your nose.
And right up here, at the back of your nose, are lots of sensors called olfactory receptors, which sense and identify different odour or smell molecules and tell your brain what it is you're tasting.
So, to show you this, we're going to use an equally oversized bit of kit.
The smell molecule blower thingy.
Also, we'll need our safety equipment and these polystyrene balls to represent those smell or odour molecules.
3, 2, 1, blow!
We're cheating a bit because our smell molecules are being blown in, but inside your body, the smell molecules in food are released naturally as you chew.
Wow, that worked really well.
You can see how the smell molecules race through the back of the mouth and up the tube, connecting it to the nose and right onto the olfactory receptors, which instantly recognize the smell and tell your brain what you're tasting.
And your olfactory receptors can also protect you because they can tell if something is bad before you eat it. As soon as they whiff something like off milk, they alert your brain so you know not to eat it. But Zand, what would happen if Mr. Big Mouth got a cold?
That would be disgusting. We're going to need a lot of snot.
We're smearing our snot inside the passages of our giant mouth and nose, just like when you have a cold.
Let's see what happens now that Mr. Big Mouth has got a big cold.
Ready? Go!
Look, this time the odour molecules are getting stuck in the snot. They aren't getting anywhere near the olfactory receptors, and that means no taste.
Yeah, Mr. Big Nose wouldn't be able to taste anything at all.
Except for that one tiny polystyrene ball.
So we've shown you that like Hermione's tongue, you've got twice the number of taste buds as us, or your mum and dad, or any adult.
But as good as your tongue is, you also need your nose if you really want to savour a flavour.
Now we're getting ouch and about with our mobile clinic.
Today, we're at a theme park to help solve your medical mysteries.
If you're anxious about an ailment,
Or curious about a condition,
then the Ouchmobile is the place for you.
That is incredible.
Chris is preparing the clinic ready for his first patient.
and Zand is out in the park to answer your burning questions.
At the clinic, Chris is open for business.
Next patient, please.
First in is brother-sister tag team, 9-year-old Arman and Tamana, age 10.
What has brought you to the Ouchmobile today?
I've got a terrifying rotten gum.
Tamana, what have you
I
got?
think I've got a tooth on top of another.
What's your double diagnosis, Doc?
This sounds like a rare case of terrifying rotten gum and a tooth on top of another tooth, all in the same family, itis.
Easy for you to say.
Open wide. Now, how long have you had this problem for?
As long as I live.
As long as you've lived. So I don't think you've got an extra tooth. I think the teeth are crowded, so that one's being squeezed out.
What can I do about it?
Well, you can see a dentist is probably the best thing.
Okay.
Right, open wide. Oh, look at that.
Ouch! A bad case of tooth decay.
Half your tooth is missing. So, Arman, how long do you brush your teeth for?
50 seconds.
50 seconds. Tamana, how long does your brother?
5 to 10 seconds.
5 to 10 seconds.
This could be the reason why Arman's tooth is rotten. Teeth need looking after, and that means brushing them twice a day for about 2 minutes.
And how many times a day do you brush your teeth?
Once.
And how often should you brush your teeth?
Twice.
Arman's tooth will need to be taken out, but to keep the rest of his gnashers, he needs to get brushing. It can be boring though, so any tips, Chris?
Stand on one leg for a minute while you brush the bottom half of your teeth, and then you stand on the other leg for a minute while you brush the top half of your teeth.
I'm impressed. I think I'll try that myself.
Away from the clinic, Zand is ouching about in the park.
Dr. Zahn, I have something that I need to show you.
You've got bleeding under your nail and the blood's got old, so it's gone black. That white line is how far your nail has grown since you injured it. In about 4 months, that'll get to the front and your nail might fall off, but then it'll grow back again, so you'll be fine.
Why is it when you go upside down on roller coasters, does your face go red, but when you walk normally, your feet aren't red?
Because you're designed to stand up, not stand on your head. There are actually valves which only allow the blood to go one direction around your body. So if the blood tries to go backwards into your feet, it can't go that direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's an excellent question.
Back at the Ouchmobile, there's a new case in the waiting room.
Next patient, please.
And it's 10-year-old Alex, who's got some fascinating features on his fingers.
So, Alex, what brings you to the Ouchmobile today?
I've got a really weird thing where both my little fingers are bent.
What's the diagnosis, Doc?
It sounds to me like a case of I've got a really weird thing where both my little fingers are bent. Itis.
That's right, Chris.
So what we can see here is that the last bit of the little finger on both hands is just bending in. And that's because this bone has a slightly odd shape. So instead of being flat, that's just twisted in. So do you know what this is called?
Filter phalanx deformity.
Way to go, Dr. Alex.
We can also call it fifth finger clinodactyly.
Oh yes, the Greek for,
Bent little finger.
Exactly.
Will they ever go back to normal shape?
They're never going to grow straight because the bone in the finger is a different shape on both sides, so it will always be bent. Now, it may be possible to have some exercises that make the things you want to do a bit easier.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Chris.
That's a pleasure.
Job done for today, clinic closed.
Still to come. I'm on the road with the emergency services.
So we've been called to see someone with diabetes. We need to get there quickly.
We show you what to do if this happens.
And Chris comes face to face with his own skull.
If I do that, it's exactly like scratching my own head. Back in accident and emergency, Khadija is waiting for surgery on her cut hand.
Let's see her get fixed.
In the waiting room in Liverpool, Khadija's in with a cut hand.
Khadija was racing for her bus to school. They were neck and neck, but then the bus went faster. As she chased it, she tripped and cut her hand.
Ouch!
After being patched up, she's now back to see hand specialist Mr. Partha Vayood. He's concerned she may have damaged her tendons or nerves.
Is that okay or not too bad?
My finger's okay, but I just feel like this little effect's coming down here.
So what's the verdict, Doc?
I think this is going to need for us to do a small operation, okay? But if we find there are some injuries to your tendons or nerves, then we may need to try to repair these.
So it's off to the operating theatre to get this sorted.
So we're going to have a look at your right hand today, aren't we?
Khadija's given an anaesthetic, so she sleeps through the operation. But once they start, they get a surprise.
The wound is very, very superficial. So based on that, it's less likely we're going to need to do anything more than give it a clean, dress it.
Well, that's brilliant news for Khadija. Her hand is fine after all.
So, what have you learned, Khadija?
I've learned to never rush for a bus or take shortcuts in places that aren't really safe.
Wise words. Bye.
Give us a wave.
Ouch. We're on call with the UK Emergency Services, showing you what it's really like on the front line saving lives.
This is a rapid response car. It's one of a fleet of vehicles that respond to up to 3,000 emergencies a day here in the West Midlands. Time to find out what it's like to be first at the scene of a medical emergency.
On call with me is paramedic Jan Van. She can do 20 emergency call-outs in a day. And a new case has come in.
So we've been called to see someone with diabetes. We don't know exactly what the problem is yet. Their sugar could be high, it could be low, there could be something else going on. But what we know is we need to get there quickly.
Moments later, we arrive at the house.
Hiya.
Inside, the man, Tony, is having some problems with a medical condition called diabetes. That means his body doesn't produce a chemical called insulin, and his blood sugar levels get out of control.
I've woke up this morning, I've got a blood sugar of 20.
Okay.
Checked it an hour later, it's still at 17.
Okay.
Done another 10 units each arm, and it's dropped down to 1.4.
Okay.
So Tony's very sensibly called the paramedics because his blood sugar is too low. The problem is earlier in the day it was too high and he took insulin to bring it down, and he's taken too much insulin and he can't get it back up again because the insulin's still in his system and working.
Once your heart and your blood pressure and that have been checked out and they're fine, I can pop a little drip in your arm and give you some glucose fluids.
Tony's heart and blood pressure look fine.
I feel actually a lot better than I did when you came through the door.
So Jan can now help boost his blood sugar levels by giving him a sugar called glucose.
He's not able to eat at the moment and he's vomiting when he does eat, so he can't maintain sugar levels by himself. So that's going to raise his sugars up, hopefully enough that he can cope at home. If it drops again, then he'll have to go to hospital.
8.7.
Get some food down here, please.
As Tony's blood sugar levels return to normal, he can hold down food and start to manage his diabetes on his own again.
When it's really severe like it's been today, then you need a little bit of external help.
So when we arrived, Tony's blood sugar was dangerously low. Now he's much more relaxed and crucially he's safe and he hasn't had to go to hospital, and that's all thanks to the emergency services.
With hundreds of rapid response crews in the UK, if you have an accident, an emergency service like this won't be far away.
Did you know the average person's skin, when stretched out, can cover 2 square meters? So you'd better look after that skin of yours. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love making things. But even in the safety of the classroom, there's still a lot of potential danger. For example, you could cut yourself on a piece of paper.
I don't think so, Chris.
Or you could end up covering yourself in glue.
Doesn't seem very likely.
Anyway, I'm finished.
So am I.
Or, finally, I guess you could make something so bad that your twin brother ends up laughing at you.
Ah! I'm going to tell the teacher.
Oh!
My head.
Uh-oh, looks like an injury alert. So, what should you do if you have a bleeding gash on your head? A. Wrap 100 meters of toilet roll around your head. B. Immediately do a zombie impression. Or C. Apply pressure to stop the bleeding and then fetch an adult.
Issa, what's the answer?
C.
Why?
Because you need to put pressure so it stops bleeding.
Yes, Issa is absolutely right. Now, check this out.
So, I'm just gonna... What is going on up on top of that building? That's really weird. Ah! Son! You've cut your head! Ah! So, you know what we're going to do now? We're going to get a cloth. Now, if you don't have a tea towel, get one of your shirts. You can tear off a bit of shirt and press hard on the area that's bleeding. And then it stops bleeding and you get an adult. Ah! I'm trying to press hard with just my thumb on the one spot where he's bleeding. OK, so, do you guys want to have a go?
Yes!
Remember, we're showing you what to do in an emergency, but it's always best to find an adult.
Quick! Put pressure!
That was very quick acting, Ragda. That was great.
I'd get my thumb in the tea towel and I press quite hard like that.
Do you think it's likely she might be feeling a bit faint? Yeah, so what should we do if she's feeling a bit faint?
Sit her down.
Do you like to sit down? Yeah! Ow! It hurts! Ow!
What are we going to do now?
Call an ambulance. No, ask for help.
I think ask for help, ask for an adult.
So that's it. If you have a bleeding gash on your head, use a piece of cloth or your shirt to apply pressure to stop the bleeding. Sit the patient down if they're feeling faint and tell an adult.
I'm sorry I laughed at your spaceship's armed.
That's okay, you're forgiven.
Good, well in that case, I'll tidy up. Are you sure I'm forgiven?
Yes, totally.
Zand, what are you up to?
I'm a bit busy at the moment, Chris.
What are you busy with?
I'm trying to do 3D printing.
Zand, that's not how 3D printing works.
Well, how does it work if you're so clever, Mr. Smarty Pants?
Time for Investigation Ouch! Do this. Feel your own head. It's the easiest way of getting a sense of what your skull is like. But wouldn't it be better if you could actually see it? Well, today I'm going to do just that. I'm about to come face to face with my own skull. First up, an MRI scanner. It takes pictures of your body, including your tissue, blood vessels, organs, and most importantly today, my bones. The MRI takes thousands of images. It's almost like slicing the skull and taking a picture of each slice. On here, I've got loads of pictures of my head. And we're going to do something that until recently would have seemed like science fiction. That's right, I'm going to print my skull. This is a 3D printer. It's not like a normal printer with ink and paper. This prints things you can pick up and use. But one of the most amazing things it can do is print replacement body parts. And to prove it, I'm going to print an exact copy of my skull. My MRI scan images are sent to this printer, which then prints each slice of my skull as a thin layer of blue glue in this bed of powder, until the complete skull is created. In charge of 3D printing at Nottingham University is Dr. Glenn Kirkham.
So that's your skull.
Now they've printed the skull in blue, just for me.
It's very, very creepy, actually. If I do that, it's exactly like scratching my own head. He may not look a lot like me, but in fact, the shape of your skull enormously influences the way you look, because no two skulls are alike. Your skull is the only one of its kind in the world.
And did you know you have a hole in the back of your head as well?
That?
Yeah.
Is that just a glitch with the printer?
No, you have a little hole in the back of your head.
What's a bit odd is I can feel it with this finger on the printed skull, and then I can feel exactly the same little hole with this finger on my real skull. That's not right.
But 3D printing isn't just fun. It's got a real medical use. Scientists are now 3D printing more complex bits of the body. Even something that seems simple, like your nose, has a bony bit at the top and then soft tissue at the bottom. And the latest 3D printers can do both. Meet the mind-blowing, megatastic master of 3D printing. What makes this incredible piece of technology different to the one that printed my skull is that it not only prints hard bones using a special plastic and powder, it also prints soft tissue using a gel filled with live cells, which could become real working organs. But to do that, the printer needs to know which order to put the cells in. So, if you want to print a heart, then you need to get the billions of cells in your body into the right order to make a heart. And if you want to make a kidney, then all the cells need to be put in a different order. The way scientists do this is by moving the cells on a computer tablet.
This is our digital tweezer system, so this lets us grab individual cells and move them around wherever we want them to go.
So unbelievably, my finger is moving cells that are under a microscope in another building.
That is awesome. The possibilities with 3D printing are limitless, even within your lifetime. It might be possible that if you damage a bit of your body, we could simply print you another one. Now, isn't that amazing?
I think I'd look better in green though, Chris.
In the UK, over 5 million people have to visit the emergency department every year.
And our next patient is one of them.
In Manchester, 4-year-old Benji has arrived with a cut on his eye.
Ooh, how'd he do that?
I was being a pterodactyl and stuff.
A pterodactyl?
A dinosaur's aunt.
We've got to see this!
One day at school, Benji and his chums were playing at being dinosaurs.
Jurassic-tastic. There weren't cavemen in dinosaur times.
It's just pretend, aunt. Channing was a triceratops, Christian was a sauropod, and Benji was a pterodactyl.
What's that they're on, Chris?
Stilts.
Dinosaurs on stilts? Well, this is fun.
Hang on a minute, though, Zon. On Benji's next step, one of the stilts flew off his foot and into his face, cutting his eye.
Ouch!
It was bleeding. Now it's not bleeding anymore.
Great. Here comes...
A dinosaur?
No, Zand. It's Dr. Adam Whitehead. First, he makes sure there's no damage anywhere else. Nothing wrong there. Now for the cut.
Yeah, okay, we've got a little bit of a hole here, haven't we? He's given himself a big bruise, a big shiner above his eye, and there's a little cut in it.
Sometimes a cut needs to be stitched up, but in this case...
I think I've got some good news for you. It doesn't look deep enough for us to need to put stitches in. What we might be able to do is glue you back together.
Special medical glue is good for fixing wounds.
It's just like super glue, but for humans.
But will it work on a dinosaur, though? It's very sticky and very strong.
I think that's sorted, isn't it?
All fixed, Mum.
Superstar. The good news is you don't need to wash your face for 5 days.
Well, that doesn't impress Benji.
That swelling will go down over the next couple of weeks and it will disappear.
Nor does that.
Now I can be a dinosaur again.
That's more like it.
Ooh, scary.
I think he's the first, probably real-life pterodactyl I've ever treated.
Gosh, maybe he really is a dinosaur.
Bye. Next time on Operation Ouch.
Chris spends a penny in the lab.
And you can't see his bladder anymore at all. Completely empty.
We've got more first aid tips.
Uh-oh, Zon's gone pale and unresponsive.
And Chris has a rather unusual hospital appointment.
It's like being inspected by a really nosy robot.
So we'll see you next time for more Operation Ouch.
Well, what? Sorry. We're going to compare Chris's papillae with the samples. But first, I need to cover both your ties in blue food dye. Both your ties. That's not the right word.
He's Dr. Chris.
He's Dr. Zand.
And yes, we're identical twins.
Do you know your body does heaps of amazing things every single day?
That is incredible. And we're going to show you how.
Ah, you've cut him in half.
We've got incredible experiments.
Whoa. And real-life medical emergencies.
The doctor's going to make it all better.
Ouch! We'll be turning our bodies inside out.
Oh, yeah. To show you what you're made of. You should see a doctor.
Better go find one.
Dr. Zand.
Coming up today on Operation Ouch!
We find out how you taste with your nose.
Next patient, please. The clinic is open for business to solve your medical mysteries.
And we check out a printer with a difference.
The possibilities with 3D printing are limitless.
But first...
What started off as a normal day for our first patient has ended up with a trip to accident and emergency.
Don't worry, Zan, she's in the right place.
For you.
In Liverpool, 12-year-old Khadija is in accident and emergency with her dad.
I have hurt my hand.
Well, let's see it then. Ooh, how'd you do that?
Khadija was on her way to the bus stop, rushing to get to school. Suddenly, she saw her bus coming down the road.
It's going very fast. She's going to have to race to catch it.
She did. Khadija and the bus were neck and neck. Then the bus went faster.
So Khadija took a sneaky shortcut through the supermarket.
She ran down the aisles, past the breakfast cereal, out the door and into the car park.
Ooh, good tactic. Look, she's ahead of the bus. She's gonna make it.
But then she tripped. And she cut her hand on some glass.
Ouch!
Before anything else, Khadija is sent for an x-ray of that hand.
Okay, all finished.
Then it's off to see nurse practitioner Jenny Cardis for an examination.
Can you make a fist for me? Lovely. And stretch your hand out for me. Excellent.
I was checking to see